Picture this. You've spent months planning your dream trip to Japan. You imagine the peaceful beauty of Mount Fuji, the electrifying energy of Tokyo's nightlife, and the quiet reverence of ancient temples. But what if, instead of this perfect getaway, you're greeted by no entry signs, mounting fines, and a sense that you've overstayed your welcome? Japan's tourism boom, fueled by a weak yen and a growing fascination with its culture, has opened the floodgates for millions of visitors. But for some, this isn't just a trip, it's a playground with little regard for rules or respect. And now, locals are saying enough is enough. Could this growing frustration change the way the world experiences Japan? And more importantly, what does it mean for you? Let's dive into how Japan is taking a stand to preserve its culture while managing record-breaking tourism. Japan is world famous for its hospitality, a country where respect and harmony are deeply rooted in everyday life. But even this patience has its limits. Let's dive into the stories of a few who crossed the line, individuals whose actions didn't just embarrass themselves, but cast a shadow over all tourists. Some foreign influencers have taken advantage of this kindness, pushing boundaries in the name of likes and views, and leaving a trail of outrage in their wake. Consider Phidias, a YouTuber who turned Japan's iconic bullet trains into his personal stage, dodging fares, hiding in bathrooms, and faking illness, all for clicks. He didn't just break the rules, he broke trust. And then there's Johnny Somali, whose name has become synonymous with disrespect, harassing locals, trespassing, and joking about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. His stunts aren't just offensive, they're unforgivable. For many, Johnny Somali's actions aren't excusable as just pranks. They're seen as a direct insult to Japan's culture and history. These influencers aren't just embarrassing themselves, they're creating a ripple effect. With every stunt, public trust erodes, and Japan is responding with tougher regulations, harsher penalties, and even considering bans on certain types of content creation. Phidias and Johnny Somali aren't outliers. They're symptoms of a larger issue, the relentless pursuit of clicks and views at Japan's expense. The goal? Engagement, as always. Some influencers treat Japan like a stage for their stunts. Social media thrives on shock value, and disrespecting Japan's cultures or rules often becomes the hook. Whether it's sneaking into restricted areas or disrupting public spaces, these stunts are designed to go viral, no matter the cost to their surroundings. Take Logan Paul's controversial 2017 video as an example. His disrespectful actions in Aokigahara Forest drew international condemnation, but the damage didn't end there. The incident left a lasting scar on Japan's view of foreign content creators, reinforcing the belief that some visitors see Japan as nothing more than a stage for attention-seeking behavior. This clickbait culture isn't just disrespectful, it's disruptive. It creates real consequences for Japan's public spaces and cultural heritage, forcing locals to deal with the aftermath of viral content gone wrong. The wave of disrespectful tourist behavior has sparked frustration among locals and government officials alike. With more than 25 million visitors in 2023 and record-breaking numbers in 2024, Japan's tourism boom has created both opportunities and challenges. Now, the country is taking decisive action to preserve its cultural heritage and maintain order. In Kyoto's historic Gion district, overzealous tourists have been harassing geisha and their maiko apprentices, often trespassing onto private property or snapping unauthorized photos. At Mount Fuji, overtourism has led to human traffic jams and environmental damage. In the nearby town of Fujikawa-Guchiko, authorities are going as far as installing an 8-foot barrier to block Mount Fuji views from a Lawson convenience store. This drastic measure comes after tourists ignored traffic rules and left behind trash in the once pristine area. These phenomena reflect a growing sentiment among Japanese communities. While visitors are welcome, their behavior must align with the respect and harmony that define Japan's culture. With stricter laws and clearer boundaries, Japan hopes to strike a balance between preserving its identity and managing its growing popularity. It's not just the crowds. Tourist behavior is also reshaping the very soul of Japan's most treasured landmarks, turning places of peace into backdrops for chaos. These places, which hold deep meaning for locals, are too often treated as mere backdrops for selfies or viral videos. Japan's shrines and temples are sanctuaries of peace, but disruptive acts, shouting, climbing sacred structures, or flouting no photography signs shatter the tranquility that defines them. Bad tourist behavior isn't limited to influencers. In Kyoto, overzealous visitors harass geisha and trespass on private property. In Nara, sacred deer are fed harmful foods and littered upon. And at Mount Fuji, overtourism has led to environmental damage and human traffic jams, like we mentioned before. These actions disrupt the harmony Japan is known for, and the locals are the ones paying the price. These behaviors disrupt the delicate balance between tourism and tradition, forcing locals and site caretakers to work harder to preserve the integrity of these spaces. For Japan, maintaining the sanctity of its cultural and spiritual sites isn't just about preservation. It's about protecting the identity of a nation deeply rooted in respect and harmony. Noise levels in once quiet neighborhoods have skyrocketed. Streets designed for small, local traffic are now packed with tour buses, and the charm of community life is fading under the pressure of constant crowds. Rising costs are another challenge. As businesses cater to tourists, prices for food, housing, and everyday goods have increased, making it harder for locals to afford life in their own communities. In extreme cases, locals are even losing access to their own neighborhoods. Certain streets and facilities have become so overcrowded that residents avoid them entirely, changing the character of these once intimate communities. While tourism fuels Japan's economy, it's clear that many communities are paying a steep price. For locals, the challenge is finding a balance, one where they can share their culture without sacrificing their quality of life. Faced with the growing strain of overtourism, Japan is no longer sitting on the sidelines. From its sacred landmarks to its busiest streets, the country is implementing bold measures to strike a balance between welcoming visitors and preserving its heritage. These aren't just rules, they're a statement. Respect Japan or risk losing access to its most treasured spaces. Mount Fuji is more than just a photo opportunity. It's a sacred symbol of Japan and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But even this iconic peak isn't safe from the strain of overtourism. But with its growing popularity, the mountain has faced environmental strain and overcrowding. In response, Japan has introduced new rules for 2024 to protect this iconic peak. After all, no one comes to Japan to see a tourist's trash heap next to Mount Fuji, right? This season, Japan is protecting its sacred peak with strict measures on the Yoshida Trail. A 4,000 climber daily limit, a 2,000 yen fee, and bans on nighttime ascents aim to safeguard both visitors and the mountain's fragile ecosystem. A new access gate will monitor and control the number of hikers each day. This ensures that trails don't become too overcrowded, helping to preserve the delicate ecosystems that thrive on the mountain. These rules also address safety concerns. Ill-prepared climbers are a frequent issue, often requiring rescue services. The fees collected will fund guides to enforce proper etiquette, ensure hikers wear appropriate gear, and keep the mountain clean. By limiting access and improving management, Japan aims to ensure that Mount Fuji remains both a safe and sacred destination for generations to come. In Tokyo's Shibuya ward, a year-round ban on public drinking is now in effect. From 6 p.m. to 5 a.m., famous hotspots like Shibuya Crossing and Miyashita Park are off-limits for alcohol consumption to reduce noise, litter, and disturbances that disrupt the area's vibrant yet functional atmosphere. In Kyoto, the focus shifts to preserving tradition and privacy. Certain residential alleyways in Gion are now restricted to tourists, with violators facing fines of up to 10,000 yen. These measures aim to protect the historic character of the area and allow geisha and locals to move about without disruption. In Hokkaido and other regions, local governments are considering a dual pricing system to manage overcrowding. This would mean higher fees for foreign tourists, helping to fund preservation efforts while easing the strain on popular attractions. For example, foreign visitors may pay more for access to certain facilities, while locals would enjoy lower rates. These changes may seem strict, but they reflect Japan's dedication to balancing its booming tourism industry with the cultural and environmental harmony that makes the country so unique. Do you think these measures are fair to tourists, or are they going too far? What would you do if your favorite travel spot became off-limits? Let us know in the comments below. As travelers, we hold the power to protect Japan's beauty and culture. With just a few simple choices, we can become part of the solution instead of the problem. Respect Japan's culture by mastering its unspoken rules. Stay quiet on trains, avoid eating during commutes, and always follow signs at sacred sites. Japan thrives on unspoken social harmony, so being aware of local customs like forming orderly lines and not talking on your phone in public spaces can make a big difference. Next, think before you post. Social media can be a great way to share your travel experiences, but disruptive stunts or disrespectful content aren't just offensive, they can lead to stricter rules for everyone. Before hitting record, ask yourself, is this content adding value, or could it harm the culture I'm here to appreciate? The impact of one viral post can ripple far beyond your followers. And finally, hold influencers accountable. If you see disrespectful content, report it and promote creators who celebrate Japan responsibly. The more we elevate positive examples of tourism, the less space there is for harmful behavior to thrive. By speaking up, you're not just protecting Japan, you're helping set a global standard for responsible tourism. Japan's rich history and culture continue to captivate the world, but preserving these treasures requires respect and mindfulness from all who visit. However, recent incidents involving disruptive tourists have led to some necessary restrictions. These measures aren't intended to deter visitors, but rather to preserve the integrity and harmony of Japan's cultural and natural landscapes. As you plan to visit, remember that Japan is not a theme park, but a living, breathing country with a deep respect for tradition and order. With respect and curiosity, you'll uncover the true essence of Japan beyond the tourist trails to create memories that honor its culture and history. In doing so, we ensure that these experiences remain available for future travelers to cherish. Let's all do our part to travel responsibly and preserve the wonders of Japan for generations to come.